Black Mirror now consists of 23 standalone episodes with their own take on technology, society, and the effects that come along with the implementation of it, all resolving with a lesson learnt at the end, or a bleak look on what the future could potentially be like. It's definitely one of the best shows to have been created in a long while. I made a video ranking all of the episodes after season 4 was released, but that was well over a year ago. Opinions change and 4 more episodes have been released since then. So, I thought it would be a great idea to re-rank the episodes with the new episodes in it, whilst I don't really believe there is a rubbish episode of Black Mirror. I'm just going to be ranking them from my least favourite to my most. So, which one's best? Well, let's find out. Before I go ahead, make sure you go over to my Twitter, @brainpilot_, and tweet me what your favourite episode of Black Mirror is. So without further ado, I'm Brainpilot, and here is Black Mirror Season 1 to Season 5, every episode ranked. Just to let you know, this video will contain spoilers, so watch out. Number 23, The Waldo Moment. This episode, for the entirety of Black Mirror, having this episode has always been my least favourite. In my opinion, it lacks any real substance that allows you to connect with the main character Jamie, and Gwendolyn is also very annoying. Even the character Waldo, despite supposed to be the annoying, controversial character that he is when running for power, he still doesn't bring a likability across the screen. There's no connection. Maybe it's because he's animated, I don't know. The concept of the episode was there, and it is great watching the demise of Jamie through the loss of his character and the power that he had over it. But for me, it just doesn't quite do it. Number 22, Hated in the Nation. Hated in the Nation was the final episode that we were given in Season 3 of the show. Season 3 overall was a relatively good season for the most part of it. My issue with this episode is it's an hour and a half and the story just feels as though it takes a lot of time to tell. It's one of Black Mirror's longest episodes, and I don't necessarily feel as though it had to be. Yes, the ending is quite good, and the idea of there being bees and the #Death2 movement was very clever. It was an interesting look into society, the loss of the bee population, and our use of Twitter. But overall, it just didn't connect with me the way that I feel it should have done, and it just lasted too long. Number 21, Men Against Fire. Men Against Fire was the penultimate episode that was in Season 3. In my opinion, I loved the idea of soldiers being brainwashed into seeing their enemies as the roach-type creatures that need to be exterminated, when in reality, they're just humans. It was a great twist in the episode, but again, like the previous episode, it just lacked any real pacing that I feel would have made it great. The ending is the best part about the episode, when you see just how damaging this technology can be. This is when the psychologist renders him blind, but realistically, I just didn't find myself connecting with the main character. The psychologist was definitely a standout in this episode though. Number 20, Crocodile. Crocodile is coming in as the worst episode in Season 4 it seems. Whilst the technology was relatively original and I could imagine being a beta version of the grain, I don't feel as though this episode felt entirely like what I would call a Black Mirror episode. Take away the technology and I could have seen this on another show. I found myself struggling to connect with both the main character and the insurance worker, and I feel as though I should have, seeing as though we were watching her life get ruined and the other get killed. I liked the idea of the technology, don't get me wrong, but it just didn't seem to revolve heavily around it. We only saw it briefly, and when we did, I don't feel as though it felt smoothly integrated into the episode or society. Number 19, Hang the DJ. I would say that this episode is one of Black Mirror's lighter ones. This episode was around being inside a dating app and watching the compatibility of relationships before they unfold. I did really like the concept of this episode, and I feel as though the performance from both the main actor and actress made the episode all the more enjoyable. There were moments that had me glued to the screen, like when Frank had ruined everything. In saying this, there wasn't a lot wrong with it, but it just wasn't as dark as what I necessarily wanted to see. Number 18, Archangel. Directed by Jodie Foster, this was an episode that when I heard about it before it was released, I was really excited for. It looked as though it was going to have that old school Season 1, Season 2 Black Mirror vibe about it, and that's what I was looking forward to. Whilst I like the concept of the episode, and the ending is powerful visually and conceptually, the story itself was something that I just didn't really enjoy that much. It didn't provide that much entertainment. I enjoyed focusing around the mother, but whenever it would cut to the poorly cast Brenna Harding as the daughter, it made the episode take a step back. It's a very grey episode when I think back on it, but I do like that because it highlights the dark tone that the episode had. However, the final execution puts it 18 on this list. Number 17. Rachel, Jack and Ashley 2. This is the most recent episode to be released, and it's a shame to say that it's coming in at number 17. Whilst watching it, I did thoroughly enjoy it. However, the ending was something that just let me down a little. It was very open-ended with regards to the aunt. I would have loved to have seen what was going to happen to her, seeing as though she was such a horrible character. Miley did remind us that she is actually a good actress, and it was a great way of highlighting the dark side of fame and the exploitation of artists. It's nice to see a happy ending once in a while, and this one had one. We saw Miley's character on a downward spiral, but in the end, she got picked back up. It's a refreshing change with some interesting technology, but it didn't have everything that I enjoy most about the show. Number 16. Metalhead. This is most probably one of Black Mirror's most different episodes that they've ever created. Stylistically, it's shot in black and white and it consists of little to no dialogue. I thought it was a brave move to see the show do this, and I think it paid off. The story of there being these artificial dogs that were created by mankind and they ultimately end up hunting the human race down and killing them is an amazing idea. The fact that the whole episode is based around trying to find a teddy bear, which would be enough to provide comfort in the barren wasteland that's known as Earth, is extremely bleak. There's not much to fault about this episode, and I love the ending. The metal dog's closing in on the house, and she's getting ready to cut her throat. There's no escape. It's a great ending. Number 15. Bandersnatch. This is again one of Black Mirror's episodes that had the potential of being a risky one. An interactive episode with multiple endings. The technology in the episode is the tech that we're using, and I absolutely love that. My issue with Bandersnatch is just purely down to the fact that because there's just so many endings, and you yourself have to choose the narrative that the episode follows, I couldn't sit back and relax whilst watching it compared to when I usually do. It was dark, the characters were great, and it's a pioneer when it comes to this type of viewing experience. I couldn't have thought of a better show to kick it off. Number 14. Striking Vipers. Another installment in Season 5 is making it into the lower half of this list. I thought the technology in this episode was fun to watch, and I thought the overall story was well thought out and paced correctly. The ending made me go, wow, when I saw the agreement that Danny and Theo came to, and personally, I thought it was sad. It was beautiful to look at, and the final song playing over the credits as you witness the effects of the technology was powerful. I thought it was a great episode, and the concept of the morality inside the virtual reality world is something that I feel had to be addressed. Number 13. The National Anthem. Season 1, Episode 1, 2011. The moment where it all started. Don't get me wrong, this is a brilliant episode, and it still gets referenced today in the real world and in the Black Mirror universe. The idea of a Prime Minister having to have sex with a pig and is being blackmailed is something that only Black Mirror could have come up with. In saying that, Black Mirror could only come up with it, but I now feel when looking back at Black Mirror as a whole, it doesn't quite fit the description that I feel the show has become now. There's no futuristic technology, and there's no implementation of it in society. We're just watching the Prime Minister get blackmailed through modern mediums. I do love the episode, and I'm not hating on it. It's halfway on the list, but that's just my thoughts on it. It deals more with the fact of the consumption of technology with regards to television and everybody being focused on one thing at the same time that you end up missing something right under your nose. And that's something that has to be commended. Number 12. Black Museum. The Easter egg episode to fulfill any Black Mirror fan's needs is right there. Rolo Haynes, a brilliant character that I think stands out in the show. I loved the fact that there was a museum filled with all of the damaging technology that has ruined society and people's lives in one place. And what happens to the owner? He gets ruined as well. He gets trapped in his own masterpiece. The feature-length episode features multiple narratives that all tie in together at the end cohesively, and the show did a great job in doing that. It would have been easy to have just made an Easter egg fest. However, Brooker delivered an episode in a way that was still so clever, so thought-provoking, and mentally damaging. Number 11. USS Callister. This is an episode that I know many people love. It's got great technology, an all-star cast, and a story that's something that you could easily imagine happening in the not-so-distant future. Jesse Plemons plays the main character, and he does a great job in making you absolutely hate him. Watching him have his comeuppance by the characters that he's tortured all of this time, and getting stuck in the game and dying in real life was messed up. It's a quality Black Mirror ending, and an episode that stands out when compared to many others. Number 10. San Junipero. This is a controversial episode for a lot of people. Some say that it's the best episode in Black Mirror, and some say it's overrated. For me, it seems to make it into the top 10. The two main characters in this episode are extremely likable, and you go on a turbulent love story through the decades, which is a fun experience. The soundtrack is amazing, and visually it's so pleasing on the eye. It's an episode that many people enjoy, and it's a rarity for Black Mirror to have a happy ending, and this one does. Probably the happiest of them all, so it doesn't leave you contemplating life or wondering what the world could become, or afterlife should I say. Number 9. Playtest. Playtest is an episode that I absolutely love, and commend for originality. The fact that the whole episode in real time is only 0.04 seconds was a great twist. The result of Cooper ending up losing his mind just like his father did was a haunting moment to watch on screen. You really felt the panic and concern that Cooper had, and it was a spine-tingling moment when he couldn't remember anything about himself or where he was anymore. The contrast in shots going from light to dark were great, and highlighted the mood of the episode perfectly. It's a great episode and definitely a standout in the whole of Season 3. Number 8. Smithereens. The highest an episode from Season 5 has come is number 8. I don't think it's done too bad considering there were only 3 episodes. Anyway, this is a concept that I thought very highly of, and I loved the relatability to modern day society in it. It felt very real, and the fact that it was set in 2018 is something that was obviously done deliberately. Andrew Scott's performance of the character Chris, just like Cooper, is a standout in the entirety of the show, and you felt everything that he wanted us to feel. The total obsession that social media apps are having on people is made apparent in this episode. And it also highlighted how the people who work for these companies know more about us than what the FBI and police do, and they can find it even quicker. It's a scary time. Number 7. Shut Up and Dance. This is one of Black Mirror's most well-known episodes, and I believe it deserves to be. With no futuristic technology, no disrupt to society, but just pure internet hacking. The story has you feeling sorry for the character Kenny throughout the whole of the episode, due to him being filmed through his webcam watching porn. You watch him cry, pee his pants, and beg for it to all be over. This is right up until the twist in the episode. The fact Kenny was actually looking at kids online, which obviously makes him a paedophile. You then hate the fact that you felt sorry for him the whole episode. It's a dark ending with him murdering someone, the police approaching him, and the promise for it all to be over broken. This is one of Black Mirror's finest episodes, and it shows the power that hackers have. Number 6. Nosedive. Nosedive visually is one of Black Mirror's standout episodes. It's shot so beautifully, and I'm sure when you think of the episode, you think of that pink-like colour. It seems as though it's set in a world that seems like the ideal place to live, other than the fact that society is based on a ranking system. This is when Black Mirror seems as though it's at its finest. You witness Lacey go from almost being at the top and conforming to what everybody wants her to be, living in a world where she's not being true to herself. She goes the opposite way to feeling liberated and free from the rankings that hold her down. It's a great episode with a fantastic message, and Bryce Dallas Howard does a phenomenal job as the character that she plays. The final scene where she's in the prison cell is a fantastic moment. Although she's locked up, inside of her mind, she's now free and can say and do what she wants, without the repercussions of her rating getting lower. Number 5. be right back. In my previous ranking, this was in the top 2. However, after rewatching other episodes, it's fallen down 3 places. I do still love this episode and everything that it stands for. It's an intimate episode that highlights a relationship and somebody grieving over the person that they love most. Hayley Atwell and Domhnall Gleeson are both excellent in their roles, and I couldn't imagine anybody else playing them. The technology is scary, and I think the fact that this was in season 2 makes it all the more better. It's such an original idea, and the journey that Martha goes on from being obsessed to just wanting it out of her life is something that you can imagine feeling, because after all, it's just made up from his social profile. The climax of the episode where she tells Ash to jump off the cliff, resulting in a harrowing scream and a cut to black, still gets me every single time, and the soundtrack behind it allowed you to feel all of the emotion that the episode wants you to. It still is such a great episode, despite falling down the list. Number 4. White Bear. There are several reasons why this episode is number 4 in the list. Michael Smiley's performance, the White Bear Park, which is a freakishly dangerous idea, and the ending. Michael Smiley was the perfect casting for this episode. He was great. As well, the moral question that this episode poses of, are the audience just as bad as Victoria Spillane, is a great one that really does make your mind go round in circles. It's a classic episode that even watching in 2019 is just as powerful as what it was when it was released. It stood the test of time and is Black Mirror at its core. Number 3. 15 Million Merits. Season 1, Episode 2. A look in reality TV and talent shows and the way in which they mold their contestants into the puppets that they want them to be. This episode was represented really, really well, and a lot of questions surrounding it have never even been answered, like why are they always cycling and where on earth are they? The whole episode follows Bing, and it ultimately ends up with a powerful speech that you feel every single word of as he holds a shard of glass to his neck. You believe the character, and he was always true to his word, until it's brought to our attention that even the strongest-minded person sells out in the hopes of living a better life. And that's exactly what he did. It's a powerful message that has resonated with me ever since it was first released. Number 2. White Christmas. White Christmas was the Christmas special episode that was released in 2013. It sure does make Christmas a whole lot darker if you watch it. This is the first time where there were multiple narratives, and the structure of it is very similar to Season 4's Black Museum. The whole episode basically being set inside of the technology we were introduced to is something that I loved. And then the double twist at the end with Rafe Spall's character being stuck in there, listening to I Wish It Could Be Christmas every day for what feels like eternity, was a painful sight to witness. And also John Hamm's character appearing as a red muffled blur for the rest of his life, as he's been charged with sex offences. It was a twisted way for the episode to finish. All he will ever see will be blurs. It's enough to drive you insane. It's a phenomenal episode that takes you on a journey, and it's an ending that makes you hope that this technology will never exist. It's a torturous thing to do, and you hope that it's something that never gets implemented. It's a great episode. Number 1. The Entire History of You. It's not managed to be pushed off. My favourite episode of all time, and what I believe is the best episode of Black Mirror, is still The Entire History of You. Why? The technology is so innovative, and I love the idea of it, and the way it's integrated into society. It's something that seems established and adds to the believability of the world. Toby Kebbell and Jodie Whittaker both deliver outstanding performances as a dysfunctional couple that have cracks underneath the surface. And the ending? Well, it's breathtaking. I love the different shots highlighting the past and present, the greys to colours to represent happier times, and the flashbacks just before he rips it out, and then the cut to black, and the credits roll. I don't think there is an ending or episode quite like it. It's a look at society in the not so distant future, and the way that this technology seems so appealing yet so damaging is a confliction that gives you a headache. The first time I watched this episode, I was questioning it for hours, and it was so thought-provoking, and that still hasn't changed. I love the scene where he's ripping the grain out of his head because it shows that this technology has caused the downfall of his relationship and his life to hit rock bottom. It's a fantastic episode, and that's why I think it's the best episode of Black Mirror. What do you think is the best and worst episode of Black Mirror? Do you agree with me? Leave a comment down below and don't forget to subscribe. I'll see you next time.